What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now PS Edition. I am Alex. In this video, we got a ton of Spider-Man 2 potential leaks. This was something that was floating around Reddit, and I like to cover these kind of things. I've covered these kind of things actually for Spider-Man before on this channel and for other games. Again, like I say, in all these videos, take them with a grain of salt. It's very, it could very well happen. It could very well not happen. Again, this is from Reddit, which definitely has a very 50-50 shot. However, what I will say is this does line up, some of the things do line up with things we've talked about in the past, specifically the release date, and also just generally what I believe will be included, also release date, things like that. So like basically I echo, and I have echoed some of the things that have been talked about here. So let's go over everything that was reported on, and let's talk about, again, like if we believe it, what lines up with what we've already heard, what I believe personally. So let's do this. First up, it's believed that the game, and this again comes from PlayStation Universe, a fantastic website. If you guys have been watching this channel, I use this website quite often for my videos. First up, it's believed that the game will be released on September 2021 with a planned reveal coming this summer. There's no online co-op apparently, with Spider-Man 2 PS5 being a completely single-player experience. In terms of locations, the new Spider-Man game is expected to feature Queens and Brooklyn, with new gameplay mechanics giving players the ability to traverse low buildings. The game is meant to take place during winter, around 5 to 6 months after the first game, with Peter living with MJ and still mourning Aunt May. In terms of characters, Harry Osborn is sent to become Venom in a unique take on the character, with Carnage and Mysterio also due to appear. Meanwhile, Eddie Brock and Miles are also due to make an appearance, the former being a major character. Elsewhere, web swinging has been completely revamped, and we're promised more animations this time around. Some have been brought over from Spider-Man on PS4, but there's said to be many more being added to the game. A new web chain mechanic is also being touted, allowing players to chain together web zips. Finally, Insomniac is incorporating 3 swing modes: realistic, arcade, and hybrid. Realistic plays like Spider-Man 2. Arcade is described as fake assisted, while hybrid is more like Spider-Man's PS4 mechanics. Obviously, it goes without saying that this info should be okay, so all that kind of stuff. All right, let's go over each piece by piece and kind of give an analysis of it. So the first one is that it would be September 2021 with a reveal plan this summer. I believe that. I think September 2021 is the time. That would be 3 years after Spider-Man released. Obviously, that released in September of 2018. And this, to be quite honest, and there's actually evidence of this kind of stuff, I have been saying this for years. I've actually been saying this around the time Spider-Man came out. So if you go back to September of 2018, around that time on the channel, on Podcast Now, at least because this channel didn't exist, I had said that. I think 3 years is enough time. As we go on in development cycles and as all these development teams are working, some can make games in 2 years, some can make games in 3 years, some games take 5 or 6 years to make. But with Spider-Man, there was just something about it that I thought that it would only take 3 years to do it. And I think, again, this lines up, by the way. There was a rumor before that this was also the exact same time. I think it makes a lot of sense. This would be Sony's fall game for 2021 for the PS5. Really push that hardware out there. I see no reason why that will not be, unless it's delayed, of course. But I think that is a perfect spot for it. No co-op, apparently, with Spider-Man PS5 being a completely single-player experience. I was never expecting co-op. I know that Miles, again, was talked about as being like a main character, that you were going to play as both of them. You were going to be Spider-Man would be the main focus, but you would play more as Miles, I guess, than you did in the first game, maybe like a 60-40 or 70-30 kind of thing. But I never expected co-op, so maybe that would disappoint some people, but definitely not me. Location, this I think is the exact same thing. This was all lined up. Queens and Brooklyn. I don't know about this traverse low buildings. I honestly don't know what that means. Take place during the winter. That was also talked about last time. That would be set during the winter. Very cool. I like that idea. There's not that many games that are set during like the Christmassy winter time. I think that would make the city look really, really cool, especially also on next gen. So I love everything about that. Peter living with MJ, still mourning Aunt May's death. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, I see no reason why. I think that would be obvious. Main characters, Harry Osborn set to be Venom. Now, this is new. I don't think this has ever been reported before. That's very interesting. It doesn't surprise me that they want to include Venom into the game with what's going on in the movies, right? And with Sony and Marvel making those deals and all that kind of stuff. Makes complete sense that they would want to do something like this in their game. I don't doubt that for a second. Having Harry be Venom, though, that is different. And, if that's the path they want to go, how would they do Green Goblin then? Would they just do Norman Osborn? Like, what would they? I don't know. I feel like that's probably what they would do. You can't just eliminate Green Goblin. So if Harry becomes Venom, then you need somebody else to be Green Goblin. Again, I guess that's fine. Again, Eddie Brock and Miles are also due to make an appearance, the former being a major character. We already knew that. The web swinging, I feel like this was talked about, but not in the way that this goes into it. With the 3 different swing modes, so again, realistic, arcade, and hybrid. Hybrid is the one we had on PS4 on Spider-Man. Arcade being fake assisted. I don't really know what arcade would be. Again, I feel like, I mean, when you say the word arcadey, what exactly does that mean? I don't necessarily have a definition for you guys, so it is a little confusing for me to say what it is. But then realistic, being like Spider-Man 2, that's a little bit, that I like that. I like the idea of that. You know, Spider-Man on the PS4 kind of flirted with realism, right? Because you couldn't swing as much, or you couldn't basically shoot out your webs as much depending on where you were in the city. If you were close to the water, or if you were in the water, you literally were stuck in this like jumping animation where you'd have to jump in and out, like basically a pool, right? You have to jump in and out of the pool because there was nowhere near you for him to shoot out his webs. Now again, realistic, I mean, you couldn't see where the webs were swinging sometimes, and if you're high in the air, obviously, like, what's he shooting the webs into? The sky? So things like that, not necessarily all that realistic, but again, I think hybrid is a good word for it. It was kind of a hybrid. Realism, I like that. I think that's a really cool thing. How would that mess with the story, though? Is it kind of just like a mode where you can swing around the city, and you can do it 3 different ways, or can you literally pick 3 different styles of swinging going into the base game? I'm not sure. Again, this article actually does go into, it continues basically and says that they do match up with previous reports on the game, which again, we've actually talked about. I'll link the video. If you guys want to watch that video, I'll link it in the description because I made a video maybe 2 months ago. I don't remember the exact date, but we talked about some more stuff with Spider-Man. So overall, I think that, well, firstly, I cannot wait for this game. I just recently played through Spider-Man all the way through. I platinumed it. I got 100% on everything. That game is such an amazing game. It's a master. I mean, maybe it's not a perfect game. Masterpiece is probably a good word. I love that game to death. I will absolutely support a Spider-Man 2. Cannot wait. Again, a lot of these rumors do line up with what we had already heard. I personally believe a lot of them. I think a lot of them either make sense, are kind of like assumptions that you just assume are going to happen, and maybe just really smart guessing. So with these there's a lot of rumors I don't believe in, a lot of games, a lot of leaks and stuff like that I don't fall for, and maybe it's good like that. You don't want to necessarily fall for every leak that you hear. But for Spider-Man, a lot of this stuff really does seem to sound right to me. So I'm going forward, not necessarily expecting them, but I'm hoping that these are the kind of things that we see whenever we see Spider-Man. Is it going to be this summer? It's very, very possible. I feel like when they fully unveil the PS5 and they show games they have being worked on for it, I feel like that's when you'd give a hint of Spider-Man, so maybe that would be the first time. But yet again, when are we getting that? Could that be in the summer? It's possible. So guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Are you guys excited for this new Spider-Man game? Do these leaks, do these rumors sound right to you? Let me know. Make sure you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And I do a new video on this channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys on tomorrow's video.